Hello, everyone. I finally got a few buttons pressed there, and hopefully we're able to hear each other and see each other and see my screen. So thank you for coming on today so much. And I'm actually very excited about today. I'm excited about every time I get to share some information and some testimonies with you, but it's a great day. That's all we can say. Every day is a great day. So thank you for being here. We're going to be talking about strokes and our role in supporting our own bodies to maybe prevent those strokes or be careful with those, minimize them. I got to be careful on the wording I'm saying. I'm not making any promises that anything is healing or, and just giving testimonies. But the information that we're about to share, hopefully you can add to it. So today we're going to start with some testimonies after I show just a couple of slides, I think. So let me get that started. And then we will be open to anybody that wants to share a testimony. It doesn't have to be about strokes at all, just any ideas that you might have. And then we'll have some questions and answers at the end. If anybody, has some questions about using the watch or whatever, I can answer those a little bit more towards the end. But let's kind of look and make sure that I know what I'm doing here and saying the right things. So basically, what we want to remind everybody is that we have a Facebook. I have a Facebook, and I guess this is a little bit outdated. I think we're getting closer to 60 teaching segments about the WAVwatch and self-care. And please try to remember that word self-care, and it is on WAVwatch Frequency Fanatics. And all you have to do is just click a couple buttons to join that. And if you're not thrilled about Facebook, we have Rumble, and you just go to WAVwatch, and YouTube WAVwatch. And I do have somebody who is putting a lot of those particular segments onto Rumble and maybe adding to them just a little bit, making them fancier than what I can do. So I really appreciate Ina Smith's help in doing that. And the major thing today, don't forget that this is what I like about the WAVwatch. There's hundreds of sound frequencies. It's not on the internet. People still ask me that. No, it is not connected to the internet. It is making this sound right on your wrist. All of that hardware is in there for it to make a sound. There's no cords or messy patches or wires. And there are no monthly fees. The most important thing for me is that it's great for even people who are hard of hearing. And that's me. I can't hear out of one ear at all. So if I was, working with a tool that depended on me being able to hear it, that would not be helpful for me. And so then one of the last ideas that's very cost effective, because there are so many different ideas with it. So hopefully you're agreeing with me on those, and maybe you got some other ideas, but that's kind of the main things that I like to share about the WAVwatch. So would anybody like to give a testimony? We'll kind of start that off, and please just unmute yourself and share any ideas that you might have or testimonies about the WAVwatch. Well, Vienna, I guess I'm going to pick on you. You might as well kick it off.
Perfect. And do you want to minimize your screen
again? I can certainly do that.
Perfect. I love being able to see the people talking to you.
There we go.
Beautiful. Well, I am so excited to share. I got to take a trip. And so always when we have a trip, we're open to meeting new people, right? And so this is a friend that I've been meeting with almost daily for a year and a half, 2 years on a morning call. And we finally got to meet in person, and I was so excited. And I had my WAVwatch with, and she had some condition going on. And I said, hey, try this. I'm a massage therapist. I gave her a massage. And I said, do you mind if I put this on while I do the massage? Like, oh, anything, let's do it. And then she said, would this do anything for someone with a stroke? So my friend's name is Tabitha. She said, my friend Sylvia had a stroke almost a year and a half ago, and she can't raise her left arm very high. Her hand stays mostly closed, and so that's not very useful. She can't open it. Her bladder was affected, so she's up and down in the night going to the bathroom, but can't go by herself. And so her kids, some that her adult kids take turns being there to help her in the night. So it's having a broad impact on the whole family. She's not sleeping well, besides up and down to go to the bathroom. Quality of sleep is bad. And she was able to progress earlier from a wheelchair to being able to, it was a very rigid walk, not a flowy, oh, here I come, but halting, maybe would be a word. And said, I'd really like to help this friend. If I buy one, can I loan it to her? And I said, sure, it's yours. You can do what you want with it, So she got one, we got it sent. She shared it with her friend, and like 2 days later, she gets a call from one of the children. Says, oh my goodness, mom can now lift her left arm above her head with ease. Wonderful. Hand now stays open. This was like 2 months ago, and all of this is still true. I checked in with her. She went to visit the friend again just before she moved, and said, yeah, doing just great. She can now sleep 7 hours without needing a potty break. How awesome is that? So now nobody has to sleep nearby for help, call. And she's able to walk in a much more fluid manner. And now she can climb the steps to her own room. So just the difference that this is making for that family. And it made me think of, so Linda had the idea for 12 years, and 2-3 years ago was able to start putting it together, brought it to market. I was privileged to be on some of those early stages and phases. And then I took mine on an event, put it on my friend. She says, oh my gosh, would it help my friend? And then the ripples just keep getting bigger. Now, all of those family members of Sylvia are like, oh my gosh, this has done so much for our mother. We're so grateful. And so Tabitha had to take hers back when she moved. And so Sylvia has one now of her very own. And when Tabitha went to see her, there was Sylvia wearing her WAVwatch and playing. And I always like being able to share what people were playing. So she was just doing the stroke folder, the couple of things that are in the stroke folder, and she just starts it over and lets it run, starts it over and lets it run. And I haven't heard whether she runs it throughout the day, throughout the night, how she's doing it. So I can maybe another day share more of those details. But just in the 2-3 days that she originally had it, all of those changes happened. And now she's had the new one for just under a week. And so we're just so eager to see where that goes for her. And I wanted to share my own perspective. I've always not enjoyed being a salesperson, like, let me impose my new wonderful thing on you. And so I'm just sharing. I just put it on people while I'm doing a massage, or, just like, hey, I found some really good news, no pressure. And then to have someone pick that up and run with it. So my prayer on any given day is, Lord, bring people across my path that are praying for an answer. That's who I want to be in contact with. I'm not in the convincing business. I'm in the let me be hands and feet to share good news. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
I'm still kind of getting teary-eyed on that one, Vienna. Oh my, that was amazing. All right. Well, we're not trying to compete here, but does anybody else have any testimony they want to share? This one just happens to fit exactly on what we're going to talk about today. So, but any other testimonies at this point?
Yeah, this is Janie.
All right. Hi, Janie.
I have said this before, I think, but my blood pressure was really high, and I was in my health food store where I get lots of things checked out, and it scared me. It was like 180 over 83 or something, and that's very abnormal for me. And I thought, what am I going to do? I had my WAVwatch with me, and I turned it on stroke, and it wasn't very long, and that blood pressure dropped. I felt very good. So I don't know if it saved me from a stroke or it's just really good to get blood pressure down, I guess. So I just wanted to share that with anybody that might have a shock here.
Janie, that fits so well into what we're talking about, because we have to have some tools, because high blood pressure can cause a stroke,
Yeah, really.
So,
That's the first thing I thought. I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm in town. What am I going to do? So I put my watch on it. I bet you it wasn't 15 minutes and I could just feel it just drop. So
oh,
I don't know if it's
wonderful.
my life or not, but anyway, I remember it.
So hopefully you're working on, and maybe you'll get a few more ideas from today. But you need to work on a few more things probably, to keep that blood pressure down.
That's right.
Other ideas before we get started. Okay, we'll go back to sharing the screen and with just a little bit more information. And then maybe somebody will think of something else that they want to talk about. So just in case you came in just a hair late on the program, Vienna actually shared her testimony with me in a written form too, so that you can see that, or maybe you can snap that, or forward that on to somebody else. So all of the information that she put out, gave us about this idea is here on this particular slide also. Well, how big a thing is strokes? That's what I always want to know. How many people are affected? How many of us? That's us. That's hitting home, because everybody that we know, anybody that we know could have a health problem. And you don't have to look very far to know somebody that has some kind of a health problem. So they're saying, this is the CDC is saying that 1 in 6 deaths from cardiovascular was due to a stroke. I have trouble with these. There's a lot of people, every 40 seconds, someone in the US has a stroke. Every 3 minutes and 14 seconds. They have those figures down. 14 seconds, 3 minutes and 14 seconds, someone dies of a stroke. About 795,000 people have a stroke every year. About 185,000 of those strokes are people who have had one previously. So we can have one more than once, obviously. Most of the strokes are ischemic strokes, where the blood flow to the brain is blocked. So I'm interested in the number of people that it's affecting. That's my neighbor. That could be any of us. That could be a friend. So I would think that most people would want to be aware of some things that they could do to protect themselves. And like Janie already gave us a testimony, she figured out what to do. Her blood pressure went way up. She was really worried about something. She played stroke. She had that tool with her to use. She didn't have to run home and grab a pill or be frantic, or whatever the situation might be. So when we look at the cost, this, here it is again. It always comes down to numbers. 56.5 billion could be attributed to stroke costs every year. Now, this was in 2018 and 19. So it's changed a little bit. It hasn't gone down. It's gone up. And obviously, stroke is a long-term disability. So you didn't have to listen to Vienna to know that people that have strokes have long-term. So the friend that the person she feels like she's a friend with already, Sylvia, had been down for a while. She had that stroke over a year ago. Am I correct on that, Vienna? And so she'd probably gone through all kinds of rehabilitation and things that the medical community wanted her to do. And so that was totally amazing.
And let me just toss one more
Yes.
thing in there. She had done physical therapy and several different things that had been, by the time she first tried the WAVwatch, it had been about 16 months. And she'd just gotten to the end of what she could do with that. But the other factor here, speaking of dollars, is her insurance had put a limit on how much she couldn't get any more care. She had maxed out. So end of
Wow.
the line as far as improvement, unless you have an alternative.
Okay. Man, I mean, I just thank you, God, for having this information to share with us because so many people are affected by it. So we're talking about lots of disabilities and problems, money, people. So again, these are some self-care ideas for strokes, possible prevention. Again, I'm being very careful with that word, and aftercare. So why aren't we paying attention to some things that we can do? Well, it's probably because we don't know, we're not educated, we're not informed enough, we haven't seen some ideas. So that's one possible idea. So that's what the WAVwatch is all about and what this program is about. Well, the first thing that comes up that causes strokes, there's a couple different kinds of strokes, and I'm not trying to be a medical doctor and teach you every single idea about strokes, but they're saying inflammation is the major cause of it, chronic long-term inflammation. So that's our big medical word now, inflammation, 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 So what have I told you from day one on the WAVwatch is the most important frequency set? It says it right here, right here in this paragraph. Inflammation, pain, and trauma are the most important frequencies, and they're all together for you. But you could also open that little folder, and there's one just for inflammation and one just for pain. That's just a little bit different. So you can play all of those. But if you don't know what to do, you jump in. And doesn't that fit with what we need to be doing, maybe to keep our brain healthier? So that makes it easy. We have something on our wrist, hopefully, or in your purse, or guys, wherever you want to carry it, so that you have something handy that you can play inflammation, pain, and trauma. It could help with many ideas. So this is the full folder on brain. There are many other ideas in here. I just tried to pair and put things together. So if you've had a stroke, you could go right to the ideas on stroke. Now, we are trying to teach you about muscle testing so that you might be able to find other frequencies that would be very helpful. But if you do not know what to do after you've played the inflammation, pain, and trauma, you could follow up with some of these other ideas. It's not going to hurt you to play some of the other ones about your brain. We're trying to just get your brain cleaned out. So if you haven't had a stroke, well, quote unquote, muscle test or use any of those ideas on the screen right there. That would be in organ systems and then brain. If you know that you've had a stroke, you could go right to the stroke folder and play that. But if you don't get any results, add to that, place some more ideas. Remember, every idea is connected. There's usually some reason the frequencies are similar. Hulda Clark discovered years ago that different problems run in different frequency bands. So she was talking a little bit more about pathogens, but she said viruses are in this frequency band, parasites are in this frequency band, that, bacteria, that kind of thing are in their own band. So I'm assuming, and maybe somebody can give you some feedback on this, but other things that are similar would probably be in the same band also. So again, it's not going to hurt you to play more than one of those ideas. And again, it's just like a song. We talk about this every time. It's just a different song. And I actually hoping I'm going to get to meet an Elvis impersonator in the Kansas City area. I just heard about him because I always talk about these are like Elvis songs. He's got a bunch of songs and there's Elvis impersonators. Does that mean one is terrible and one's going to hurt you? No, you're going to get something from listening to Elvis or an Elvis impersonator. So,
Linda, can I
yes,
share a little quick
add some
idea?
more.
this was the way I like to talk about Hulda Clark's idea of the bandwidth. And so I remember learning that the parasites all sit, and so I like to say they sit in the same section of the choir.
There you go.
The bacteria sit in this section of the choir, and the virus is over here. And so that's my thoughts on
They
bandwidth.
segregate kind of, so they're together, you know. So these were the things that I could put together about the brain, you know, but that's not the end of it. That's just the beginning of what we have on the WAVwatch, okay? Because there are so many things connected. So these are what they're saying on the internet. You know, I'm just doing my research here. I'm not a medical. This is not quote unquote medical research through medical texts, but obviously trying to get us all updated a little bit. These are some things that they're saying are causing strokes. So the high blood pressure, Janie already talked about that. She knew immediately she had to get her blood pressure down, and that did work. Now that's just one example. We're not making a claim it's going to work on everybody, but why wouldn't you try that? Diabetes is another one. So if you're a diabetic, you're going to have more connections with stroke. So you really need to work on that diabetic problem, but then you need to work on helping your brain and protecting your brain somewhat. And then anything that's heart and blood vessel, connected, heart valve diseases, carotid artery problems, all of those can be connected, of course, to strokes. So you would want to run, and look at different ideas for that. And I'm going to show those in just a minute. High cholesterol levels, you got to work on your liver. You got to work on several different things. Maybe your diet, the list is extensive. But if your LDL levels are high, the medical community is going to tell you that that's going to cause stroke problems. Smoking is related to strokes. Of course, brain aneurysms have already started clogging, causing some problems in the brain. So they're going to continue to be problematic. And at some point in time, that stroke is going to happen. Now, another one that we may not know enough about, or they're not educating us on, is that lots of viral infections can cause that inflammation that can cause that stroke. So, of course, if you're familiar with the WAVwatch, there's lots of ideas about viruses on there. And then COVID-19. So they are now admitting that COVID-19 can cause that inflammation that can cause a stroke. Of course, it quote unquote may be in that virus category, according to how you are looking and learning at things. But those are some ideas for causes of strokes. And that's just the beginning, So that's why we have to be working. So these are some choices on the WAVwatch that are related to strokes that I think that we could pull out and work with. So we've got the high blood pressure, we've got the diabetes, we have the atrial fib, we have the sleep apnea, we have migraines, that wasn't even mentioned, and that is related to strokes, of course. Kidney disease is related to stroke. That's on the WAVwatch. Now, detox, I just put many ideas. We're going to expand on that. And then the viruses and COVID, obviously, is in that mix. Now, detox is so important because they're saying that, I actually found a site that said the chemicals from our homes and chemicals from other places are causing strokes. And then our prescriptions, different ones, can be connected to strokes. So we've got to be detoxifying and being very careful with our prescriptions. I am trying to think if I got the names of the prescriptions. I'm not sure that rings a bell now, but there are several prescriptions that are connected with strokes. So in case you haven't seen it, these are all of the, some of the ideas for the viruses. So play through these sometimes, whether you think you have a virus or not, because you are just getting inflammation out of your system. Now, they are not necessarily recognizing that every virus could cause a stroke. They don't have that information, but they just know in general that viruses cause inflammation. So it kind of goes hand in hand. We need more protection from viruses. Wow, we haven't even talked about these. anxiety, depression, and stress. Just raise your hand. Working long hours and not having as much contact with family, friends, or others outside the home. So, wow, that's our life today, isn't it? We're not seeing people as much as we used to. It seems to me like the average person is not visiting as much as we used to. And so those are some huge connections, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more. Now, we can't talk about causes of strokes without these blood thinners. That's mostly the ones that are causing that. But I really thought I had a list of them, and I'm apologizing because I don't think I do. But just if you use the idea of blood thinners, those can cause some strokes. If we're carrying around too much weight, we're going to be putting some more stress on our body. And then I'm not getting enough exercise. I know I'm not, so people are not sleeping enough. Lots of problems with drugs. And we're talking about cocaine, and those kind of drugs can obviously cause some stroke problem and brain problem. So the list goes on and on what can cause a stroke. But I guess I'm kind of celebrating because I saw all of these ideas really tied together on the WAVwatch, that we can be using them, rotating these through, and hopefully protecting ourselves from some of these ideas. Now, that's the word, hopefully protecting. I cannot say there's no double-blind studies. It's not FDA approved. I'm sure I'm monotonous on that. The emotion folder is huge. I put 10% of the frequencies for emotions. So we use the word anxiety, but everything kind of goes back to anxiety. Almost every little emotion does. So, here's some different ways to look at that whole idea with anxiety. So play through the emotions sometimes. We don't realize that we might be having some problems with emotion sometimes. And I just got a slap in the face on that, working this information up, because some of you may know that my husband had a massive stroke, and massive heart attack. And I didn't think that I was too anxious or, anything like this. But when I was looking through some of the symptoms of anxiety, I'm definitely having some muscle aches and pains that I've never had before. And I hadn't even thought of that connecting with anxiety. So, the back of my arms have just been killing me lately. Not that I have to tell you all my problems, but I'm just saying, I didn't even recognize that. I did not even put that together with anxiety. I was kind of, taking deep breaths and thinking I had it mastered, and I was playing some of these, but I haven't played them enough. So I went through and I'm playing some of the anxiety ideas and looping anxiety for a little bit more. So look at all of these ideas that can be, from anxiety. So we tend to write that off and just say, oh, it's nothing, or if we have a stomach pain, we might think it's, we ate bad food. We have a headache again. Who knows what we might write that off to? But so many of these really are connected with anxiety. So I hope that chart is helpful. So this comes from Mental Health First Aid. Give them credit for where I got it. I thought it was a great chart. Now, I don't know if all of you have seen this. It is from MSN, but Jamie Foxx, this was a title, left with a brain blood clot after getting the COVID-19 vaccine. A source claims he is partially paralyzed and blind. Now, I may be spreading things. I'm just telling you this was a headline, but this fits into what we're doing. We can do so many things that can give us some blood clots without us realizing it. So there is a possibility that people around you more and more are going to be having some trouble with some of these ideas. And we're not trying to get our little podcast into any trouble or censored or anything, but we are talking about, strokes and things. So there's definitely a possibility that the vaccines could be problematic. This information is from Medical News Today. And some sources are saying that the vaccine could increase the risk, and some sources are saying, no, if you don't get a vaccine, you're going to have a stroke. So, it goes either way. But what I want you to know is that you have to protect yourself no matter what decision you made, or no matter what decision your friends or your family made. You already have a tool that has a lot of possibilities. That's all I'm saying, possibilities. And Vienna was able to give us the most amazing testimony, and it just took 2 or 2.5 days, And so the lady couldn't raise her hand very much. And, so now she can, if I'm right, so limited use, and now she can. And she had gone through the medical, physical therapy until her insurance said no more. So we do have to be prepared. And the sad part is we have to be prepared at a much younger age than we used to. When I was in my 20s, I didn't know anybody that had a stroke or had problems. But you look around, somebody that's 20, if you have a child that's 20 or a grandchild that's 20, they are going to know somebody that has had problems. So this has changed age-wise, they are so much more going on age-wise at a much younger age with this. So again, it's up in the air whether it's vaccine related or not, or because we didn't do a vaccine, So blood clotting, high blood pressure, low platelet counts. So all of these can be connected with strokes. Kind of to wrap this up just a little bit more, these are a couple of kinds of strokes. The ischemic strokes are caused by plaque or a clot that flows to the brain. And so these are some images of it. So it definitely blocks it. And you can just see what's going on there, how much pressure that can cause in the buildup. Now, wouldn't it be great if you could be continually doing something to break that down and to make it change? So we've got to be doing things more than just even the WAVwatch. I'm talking about more here in just a minute. So we've got to take care of our body in many different ways. And then here's an image of another one. So a TIA is caused by a different kind of blockage, but still a blockage. Most of us know that, So we don't necessarily have to know we don't necessarily need a picture, but it's kind of interesting, that the brain tissue does kind of start to die, and, we've got a break, that kind of thing. So while we have been talking, I think it's been pointed out a couple times that the testimony that we have on the blood clots, the person had worked with the medical community. And this is what I found this is how I found that the medical community works with strokes a little bit more. They're saying you can't necessarily treat the effect of the stroke. It doesn't erase the root cause. So the best way is to stimulate the brain to regain control. And they're calling this neuroplasticity. So this comes from Flint Rehab, I guess. And they have quite a bit of information and some exercises, and it's worth looking at. So they're saying that this neuroplasticity can be expanded in your brain through experience and learning. So that means that they want you to repeat something over and over and over again until your brain relearns it. Vienna, do you think that's what was done with Sylvia? That's probably the type of work that she had done with her. Okay.
I'm guessing it would be the repetition with physical therapy and such.
Yes. So they were working with her to walk, and that's repetition. So how is it now? Maybe this is a most unusual example, maybe I'm, blowing it out of proportion here, but how is it that working with frequencies in 2 days, something was different? And not just one idea, but several ideas were very, very different. So,
What
yes,
strikes me there, Linda, is they use the word she's walking much more fluid, and instead of kind of a stilted, erratic,
mhm.
so your brain can relearn, and yet fluidity, it's kind of like mastery on a topic. If I start trying to play the violin, it's going to be pretty rough for quite a while, and then there's that point of mastery where it flows. And so I'm just curious what changed, that created that fluidity of motion again. So that wasn't just in 2 days she took this ginormous leap of, oh, I walked 5,000 miles in 2 days and now I'm a fluid walker. Something else changed. The brain remembered something or something. I got no background in this, but something changed. That's what I know.
So I think what I'm trying to say here is that we need everything, obviously, but if we don't know what things are available, we can't incorporate many things. So she was, she had done some exercises, which probably got her off to a great start. I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm saying, wow, wouldn't it be great to add some more ideas? So frequencies are one of the easiest things that you can add. And then I think I always tell you about essential oils, because what are they? They're frequencies. So they're just the opposite of the WAVwatch. These are more ultrasonic frequencies. They're high frequencies, and we can't hear them. Duh, So, but they do have a frequency, and they've measured all the frequencies. And one of these days, I'm going to look up the frequencies I have before, but I just can't repeat them. But they're just higher frequencies. They're not in the acoustical range. So again, that gives us another way to work with them. Now, this particular one is saying that, these essential oils can't do anything for the major effects. They're saying they're secondary effects, but I'm not sure. That's why I want to do the essential oils also, because we're working with frequencies in a different way. So they're saying that anxiety, fatigue, insomnia could be helped with the use of certain essential oils. And the best list, you can find several lists on the internet, but one that I found in particular was lavender was the best one. Lavender, you need to be carrying lavender around. And this isn't a bad mix here at all. So hopefully you have a little case of, some essential oils that you carry with you. And they're not quite as easy to carry around as the WAVwatch, but that's another thing that you can do that's going to be different than carrying a bottle of aspirin around, So lavender, frankincense, eucalyptus, chamomile, rosemary, peppermint. Didn't spell that one right, did I? Peppermint, lemon, and clove could all be some good ideas for essential oils for stroke support. And just like every stroke is different, it's going to be different on everybody. There's going to be different recovery methods, different recovery rates, but hopefully we are able to kind of see some ideas that we could incorporate along with whatever, you've been told to do by your doctor, and, add some things. Don't be afraid to do that, because frequencies are not negative at all on your body. The acoustical ones in particular. So I think the other idea, I'm out of slides here, but the other idea basically is that the WAVwatch has so many ideas to help you keep stroke ideas, quote unquote, maybe a little bit less troublesome. Again, I have to pick words very carefully, but don't forget that you'll want to play diabetes if you know you have that. You'll want to play blood pressure once in a while. You'll play the emotions, and you don't even know what you're playing the emotions for sometimes, whether it's for stroke prevention, whether it's for true anxiety, for muscle pain, you don't know. So the emotions are one of the best ones to play. And of course, the inflammation, pain, and trauma. So I'm kind of reliving that just a little bit, but we have an amazing body, obviously, and it is so interconnected. And to me, it's hard to swallow that we have to go to a specialist, and that specialist knows so much about one area of your body. But the WAVwatch is about all areas of your body and circling them through, because we know that they're all connected and that they need to be played at different times, or they need to be acknowledged, rather than just working on one idea to the detriment of other ideas in our body. So I think that's my little idea for today. So I appreciate you coming on so much. And we've got just a few extra minutes. This was maybe a short one, but does anybody have any other ideas that they'd like to add? I'll stop sharing. And if anybody wants to add anything, this is again another time to do that.
Linda, I will add, I do have high cholesterol, and I take several natural things, and I guess 2 blood tests before it brought it down 50 points with apple pectin powder. I do mulberries, I do, different things like that, and it did bring it down. But now your information is so great. So now that I have the WAVwatch, then, I have a lot of other ideas. I will talk about my sleep. I have made up my mind that I am off the 2 meds. And last night, the watch, of course, ran out of battery. I'm trying to make sure it's charged in the afternoon every day, but I didn't yesterday because I was busy. And so I've been waking up, and I'm going back to sleep. I woke up this morning at 5, but with the watch, I've been able to go back to sleep until like 6:15. So I didn't this morning because the watch was out of battery. So I know that the watch is helping. I haven't gotten there yet, but I know that it's definitely helping. And the other thing is, I had sent you an email, but insomnia doesn't work on my watch anymore. It says file open failed. So,
okay. So that may be a TF card. Maybe if you, let's see. You sent me an email already on it. Is that what you said?
I said that heading was like problem with, frequency or something like that.
So I need to get to that email then, and you feel free to email me again. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit slow after, my husband was 16 days in the hospital.
I completely understand. Don't even.
So my apologies. But that sounds like you need a new TF card if one's starting to, yeah. Okay. All right. And thank you for that. I just have a cute story. I'm a story person, but I had this gal that's about 84, I think, her and her husband, 82, 84. And this was they were some of the first buyers of the WAVwatch. And at that point in time, the batteries were 6 hours long.
Oh.
And so they had 5 WAVwatches between them because they didn't want to ever run out.
Oh my
so
goodness.
Now I hope we've gotten that solved, because we're up to 20-hour batteries.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm very appreciative of you and the information that you give out, and I'm just so glad that I got the WAVwatch.
Well, thank you.
That God brought that into my life, because just by the person that I was listening to, Michelle Moore, and I don't listen to her that often, but that's how I found out about it. Otherwise, yeah, so I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
And Linda, where do you live out in Tennessee?
I'm Mount Juliet.
Oh, Mount Juliet.
Mount
Okay.
Juliet.
It's close.
Mhm.
That's close to her where she used to live then, Michelle Moore.
Oh, I'm not, yeah, okay, I'm not quite sure where she lives, but
Yeah.
yeah.
She used to live in that area. I think she's
Okay.
moved a little bit. Okay. Any other comments?
I have a question, Linda. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, hi. Loving the WAVwatch, and I'm wanting to see what program would you choose for a little bit more flow of the blood? You know, like our blood's getting a little sticky here with some interaction with people that have been whatever. And it could just kind of clot the blood. It could just slow it down. Where would we find, you know, I'm assuming it would be circulation, but I wasn't really sure.
And you were talking about they've had something done in the arm?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I haven't, but it, you know,
Right.
you know,
So
with
the one
shedding
for
and everything,
that,
so,
if you're
yeah.
worried about that, the one for that is in detox and it's labeled viral detox. So that's
And
the
that-
one. It's
would that
RNA,
be-
DNA.
Okay, so that would be to get the blood circulating?
Yes, a
'Cause
little
it
bit
really-
more. And then there's but that's what that's for. I'm saying that is for the, you know, in the
Yeah,
arm. That's
not my-
specifically made
yeah,
for that.
I got that one, but that's really, it's not for that. It's for when you're around them and you get shedding and all that. So it's really about, other than grounding, how can we get our blood circulating and a little bit more flow?
I'm not sure that I have the best idea for that. I do have circulation in a couple of places, and I'm working on some more frequencies to add. And I don't want to incriminate myself here because it's not ready yet, but there are a few more on the idea that you're asking about, because I saw there was a hole there. So
Okay. My other question, that's perfect. I can look at circulation. And then what about glyphosate? Would that be chemical detox?
yes, so
Okay.
far just chemical detox. Mhm.
Okay, good. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions that I could answer, or anybody else want to throw some ideas out there?
This is Janie again.
I will say, Linda, from when I was talking to you about Dr. Hasse, he wouldn't even test for glyphosate because he said, I won't let you spend the money because everyone has glyphosate in their body.
Wow.
And yes, and even though I've done organic everything for years, but that was his comment. He says, I won't even have you spend the money because everyone has it. And in our past, with the Roundup being sprayed on everything and in the animals' food,
Yep.
and the everything that we are ingesting, even though I'm vegan, I don't do the meat or anything, but you're ingesting the antibiotics, you're ingesting everything that animal has been fed when you do dairy or meat. So your frequencies would definitely be great for that. For chemicals or yes.
Yep. That's our attempt anyway. So, you know.
Mhm.
And then Janie, you had a comment?
Yes, I don't know if it's really about the WAVwatch, but my mother had strokes, and actually, I think that's what probably got her. And when all this started, why, she was probably like 59 years old or something like that. And I don't know what the medical community had been checking up to that point, but I don't know if they ever checked the thickness of her blood. And that is what caused her strokes, was the thickness of the blood. So I hope they do a better job about that today of checking. But after she'd had a really bad stroke where they figured that out, which they had plenty of time before that, maybe several years, you know. So that's something that people really need to pay attention to, is get your blood checked for thickness, because and what caused it, who knows, probably, you know, just her condition in general, but still it could have alleviated a lot of problems that she had. And if she'd had the WAVwatch, she probably would have really done well, but that was many years ago. So
Many years ago, yes.
and then I wanted to also mention the anxiety file, because a time or two around here, I get really busy and all these things of nerves and whatever. And it seems like I can kind of feel like my blood pressure maybe is raising. So I put on anxiety. I tell you what, that knocks it down just about as good as a stroke did. So
Okay.
try that one
Hey.
too. I mean, it just stopped the beating in my head, like, you know, you get from nerves and whatever. It just bang, it was gone.
Wow.
So
And, and I've had somebody else say, a little bit more related to their sleep, but their anxiety, it was the EMFs, so I do keep kind of, pointing that out. The EMFs can cause half of these problems, or who knows what the number really is, what the EMFs are doing to us, because they are known to cause so many problems. And so play the EMFs. That's why it's in the detox, But good point, Janie. Yes, appreciate those. And I like the ones where you talk about when your dog, you play the anxiety and your dog settles down.
but I did lose my little dog, but it wasn't
Oh.
from that. He had other conditions too. So, but it's certainly, I think he actually got a longer life by using the WAVwatch by several months or years even, actually. So it wasn't a lost cause from what I learned
Great.
from the little bugger. And I mean, he was very appreciative of it also. They only live about so long, and he was over 14. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Someone is asking how it works for arthritis. Again, these are frequencies. And so you put the arthritis frequency and you start it playing. And then behind your wrist right here is where the speaker is. And the frequency as it resonates, as it vibrates, is going to cause one cell to vibrate. And then that cell causes the next cell to vibrate. And the next cell vibrates. And then it just zips through your body. So it is a frequency made for arthritis, but you might also want to check out Epstein-Barr virus. It is known to cause arthritis. There are maybe a couple others that somebody might know about. Just off the top of my head, Epstein-Barr virus is connected with arthritis. So that would be, the ideas along that line to play more than just arthritis if it doesn't help you. You could also play joint support. You could play neuropathy, so don't just stop with arthritis if it doesn't help. Keep trying a few other ideas. And so another question was, does it help with Epstein-Barr virus? Definitely. SIBO and parasites for sure. So right on the very third page, I stand corrected. I guess it's page 6. Don't forget, right here is where it says the most important things to play are inflammation, pain, and trauma. I can never hold this right. Inflammation, pain, and trauma, and parasites. Huge, huge, huge. And then the SIBO, yes, some of those are on there for that, for stomach irritations, definitely. I don't have any testimonies for the SIBO, I don't think, but I definitely do for Epstein-Barr virus and parasites. I've actually have a whole hour-long workshop on parasites, and I show some pictures that people have sent me 6 hours after they used the WAVwatch. They had about a foot-long parasite that exited their body. So while you're wearing the WAVwatch, should you also take a binder to make sure that they leave? That is why when I put the frequencies together, I put in lymph and detox, kidney and detox, and liver and detox. So those are working behind the scene when you play the parasite folder, so that you have a type of detox going on. And again, we saw somebody that had exited, and that's the frequency set that she used, was a parasite combo with the detox ideas included in it. So, and you're welcome to take a binder, yes, but it does seem like that combination has been good. And then somebody's asking, is this as strong as a Rife machine or stronger? It doesn't have as many frequencies as a Rife machine. It's limited. The Rife machine, sometimes the books are, 1.5 to 2 inches thick, and you almost have to have some kind of a degree to be able to use some of those. So this is a more simplistic idea. It does use Rife frequencies, which have been converted to acoustical frequencies. So no, I can't say that it's stronger. Does it need to be stronger? No, that's not the idea. The idea is to get those frequencies resonating in your body. I have had a couple people who came in who did have Rife machines that they were using, and a couple of them were holding bars like this. Plus, they had to put their feet on a plate of metal. I don't get that idea. And they had blisters on their feet, so, be careful on that one. So, and then, yes, we have ED and Pyrenees on there. Yes, both of those are on there. I'm not sure about any frequencies or testimonies from using those frequencies, but guys do give me a lot of testimonies on prostate. So I'm assuming that we're talking about some of the same ideas, and that would be helpful. I do know that in the Kansas City area, they have that same idea with frequencies. And the cost is $6,000, and you have to go to the doctor's office about, don't quote me on this, it seems like it's 6 to 10 times maybe, and the cost is $6,000, and you don't own anything. You are not, doing anything on your own. You are only going to a medical system and using frequencies there. So most people appreciate the availability to have it on the wrist and to play it.
Linda, just
Yes.
a quickie here. I think they may be turning up some 5G frequencies in the middle of the night. Recently, in Atlanta, Georgia, at 2, 3 in the morning, all of a sudden you start hearing or more feeling in your body, om, 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 om. And so of course, I've always got the WAVwatch on. So I switched it over to EMF detox when that happens. And it calms it down a lot because that om, om, I feel it through my entire body. We got here to St. Pete to see our daughter Monday night. And yesterday I'm talking to her. She says, I'm having the same experiences. I thought I was going crazy 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night. Om, om. And we both just think it's like really strong 5G test. I mean, I know that's, not anything we can prove, but both of us have tried doing the EMF detox with it, and it takes the edge off of the sound. It is not ringing in the ears. It's something very different that you feel and hear in your body, but the EMF detox helps.
Oh my goodness. Is anybody else
I
having
don't know.
that? Anybody else noticing that? That is amazing that you can feel it. It has to be a frequency if you're going, "Ooh." So then our mind goes to the 5G, the towers.
Right.
Now,
And
I know
it may not be that, but whatever it is, and of course,
it's a frequency.
It's a frequency. And here we're close to MacDill Air Force Base, CENTCOM. And in Atlanta, we're very close to Dobbins Air Force Base, which is, where every president flies in when they come to Atlanta. So we're close to military bases in both cases. It may be something to do with what the military bases are doing. I don't know. It may not be 5G, but whatever it is, it's a strong, strong frequency.
Whoa.
So
I will say my husband and I have both been waking up about that time, but we were thinking it was more his problem. But we are waking up when we never used to wake up like that. So anybody else?
Very strange, very strange.
Well, let's put our heads together on that. Maybe everybody pay attention until next week and see if you notice anything that you can connect back to some different frequencies that shouldn't be in our lives. All right. Somebody was telling us stem cell.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just have one more question. Quite often I have these pricks, like something is sticking me. Just since I started wearing the WAVwatch, is that normal?
Well, I have had those too a little bit, and I think it's working on something. That was my
That's what I
reaction
thought.
to it. that, I reacted, and then whatever I was, trying to work on, seemed to clear out.
Yeah,
I
that's what I thought.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anybody else have that experience besides me and Linda now? Linda and Linda. I think Vienna raised her hand. Yep.
Okay.
I've had that happen a little bit too. And I think it is just activating something, shaking it loose so it can leave. And you know how I love playing with words, Linda. So I just love to laugh. So we can end with a little joke. Your misspelling of peppermint. All that you're missing is tea. Just add tea and serve. So go enjoy a nice cup of peppermint tea.
That is a good one. All right. And I think we are winding down. Does anybody else has anything to say? This is going to be on Facebook, and then it'll be put over on Rumble. So thank you so much for your time, and hopefully you can get the word out, and we can all be, just running through more frequencies once in a while just to protect ourselves. So thanks, everybody. Have a good week.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.